Hi guys, welcome back to the PowerPoint presentations. Today I would like to discuss logic problems, and I'm going to solve two problems for you, and I'll give you time to solve them, but if you want to listen to my reasoning, you can come back and rewind and listen to them again and again. I know it takes people different amounts of time to solve these problems, and I want to make sure that you feel like you have adequate amount of time. The situation for both of these problems is that there are knights and knaves. So, as you can tell, this is going to be, again, a logic problem. So the situation is that on a certain island, there are two types of inhabitants, knights and knaves. Knights always tell the truth, so every time they're saying something, it is true. And knaves always lie. So every time that they say something, it is always false. Just so that we get a convention, I would like to use knights as T and knaves as V. And in these problems, you're supposed to figure out whether these people that we're going to discuss are knights or knaves. Okay? So anytime I denote knight, it's going to be T, and knave is going to be V. The first problem is that you meet three inhabitants, A, B, and C. You know that they are all either knights or knaves, but there are different combinations of them. So not all of them have to be a knight. But so A is either a knight or knave, B is either a knight or a knave, and C is a knight or a knave. And you don't know which ones they are. That's what you're trying to find out. You only hear A and B speak. You don't hear C speak. A says, all of us are knaves. B says, exactly one of us is a knight. My claim is that you're able to, from these two clues, figure out what A, B, and C are. So the answer will look like, for instance, A is a knave, B is a knave, and C is a knight, or something of the sort. If you feel like you have enough information to solve it and you just want to pause, then that's okay. If you want a hint as to how to set this up, then I'm going to move on. So my hint is to set up the list of all the possibilities of what A, B, and C could be. You could have A being a knight, B being a knight, and C also being a knight. So that's one row of the possibilities, and then you could have TTV, TVT, TVV, VTT, VTV, VVT, and VVV. If you notice, the way I set this up is kind of binary. So the first four that I listed are T's, and then under the column of A, the first four that I listed are T's, then the second four are V's. And then under the column of B, I have two T's, two V's, two T's, two V's alternating. And then under the column of C, I have T, and then V, and then T, and then V alternating down. So now I know that I have all the possibilities, because for A, there are two possibilities of what A is. For B, there are two possibilities of what B is. And for C, there are two possibilities of what C is, so it's 2 times 2 times 2, which is 2 cubed, which is 8. So there are 8 possibilities. From here, after you've listed out all the possibilities, if you think that you can then answer the question, then you can pause at the screen. But if you're still feeling a little stuck, or you just want to see how I figured this out, then you can move on. Note that you don't necessarily need to set up all these possibilities. This is not the only way of doing it. You can also reason differently. But if you want a systematic way of doing process of elimination, then I would suggest using this way. Okay, so basically my method, which does not have to be your method, is to look at each of these statements. A's statement and then B's statement, generally, and then see which possibilities I can eliminate. Okay, so if A says all of us are knaves, that means that A cannot be telling the truth. If you look at the very bottom row, where it says V, if in fact all of them were knaves, and knaves lie, then A wouldn't say that. So I can eliminate the very bottom row with all of them being knaves. Also, A cannot be telling the truth if A is saying that all of us are knaves. Because a knave is a person who lies, and A wouldn't say that to be the case. So I'm going to eliminate all the cases where A is a knight, or telling the truth. T for A. So that leaves 3 possibilities: VTT, VTV, and VVT. Now then I'm going to look at B's statement. B says exactly one of us is a knight. Let's look at the situation where it's VTT. T means that person B is a knight. That means that he would be telling the truth. If he's telling the truth, then he would say that 2 of them are knights, because it's VTT. So B is a knight and C is a knight. If B is telling the truth, B would say that there are 2 knights. But because B does not say that, then we can eliminate that possibility. Let's look at the situation where it's VVT. That implies that B is a knave. If B is a knave, B is lying. B needs to lie. In the situation of VVT, there is exactly 1 knight. But if B is lying, he would not say that. He would not tell the truth. So there's a contradiction there. So VVT can be eliminated. Now I just eliminated 7 of the possibilities. That means that the only remaining possibility is VTV. A is a knave, B is a knight, and he's telling the truth. He is the knight. That is what he says, exactly one of us is a knight. And then C is a knave. I hope you follow this reasoning. If you don't follow this reasoning and you also don't understand this, if you haven't been able to get a solution to this problem, then please email me, because there is a problem on your problem set that has stuff with knights and knaves, and I really want to make sure that you understand and are able to successfully complete the problem. I will now go on to the next problem here. When you say, you ask B, what did A say? B says that A said that there is 1 knight among us. If B is telling the truth, if he is a knight, then he's telling the truth, and that means that he correctly reports what A is saying. So if I'm looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the sixth row, VTV, then under, so B is a knight, then he would really correctly report what A said. But because in this situation with VTV, A is a knave, B would be kind of morally obliged to correctly report what A said, but he wouldn't actually say it. Okay, so he couldn't be telling the truth and reporting the knave's statement as true. In the situation where it's VVT, the seventh line, B is a knave. But in the situation of VVT, there really is one knight. With B being a knave, he would lie that there is not just one knight. So we can eliminate this possibility, because B as the knave would be lying, but really the situation is that he's telling the truth. Okay, so we just finished looking at B, and then now let's look at what C said. C says that B is lying. So let's take a look at the fourth row with TVV. C in the situation in the fourth row with TVV is a knave. Since he's a knave, he's going to lie about the truth. So B is lying would be false because it's a lie. So then that makes the fact that there is one knight true. If there is one knight, and that's true, which is true here, TVV, there's only one knight, there's a contradiction because B has to be a knave in the TVV situation. So we can eliminate this because there is a contradiction. Similarly, if we look at the last row, VVV, C is lying because he's a knave. B is lying because he's a knave. So we've got the fact that B is lying and C is lying, but then A needs to also be lying. But the situation is that C says that B is lying. That means that B has to be telling the truth, but B's telling the truth, and you can't have that because there really is no one knight here. Okay, so we've eliminated the last row, and so there's only one possible truth, which is TVT. So A is a knight, B is a knave, and C is a knight. Alright, so after completing this, again, if you have any trouble, please email me and ask for further explanation. Otherwise, I think you're able to do your problem set with the Knights Knaves at normal, which is, the first problem on problem set 2. Alright,